Hello Tubesters, it's Gav and welcome to another one of my videos. Yes, contrived, but I'm trying to pick it up a bit. Right, just trying to improve the videos. Don't ask me how it improves it, put in a cup of tea up to you, but never mind. Right, I'm waffling already and I'd actually got a prepared script which I'm not even looking at. Today's video is this, how small is he? No, he's not 10mm. 1 in 35 scale torso of a US tanker or armoured personnel bloke in Europe 1944-45. We're not painting the body obviously, or the torso, it's just the face. I said a while ago I'd do a tutorial and this is going to be it. I've set myself a couple of goals with this one. One, to have everything in shot, but also more or less basic paint. So we're not going to be using, as far as I remember, different boxes of paint sets. These should be all Vallejo. Now I've actually, I'll show this guy a bit closer in a bit. I painted this one about 18 months ago, something like that. And this is a figure that I'm sending off to my Mara, Greg Riley, of the Greg Riley's 1 in 35 scale armour channel. Yeah, anyway, I wanted to redo the face on that one, so I thought that's why it's been a bit delayed. Thought redo the face on that one, see where I'm going, and then try and replicate it to a degree on the other one. Now that's a resin figure, it's probably better sculpted. The plastic figure doesn't look as good, so we'll be using the same colours, but like all my faces, flesh tones, whatever, figures in general, down to war game level, they change by palette by palette. I don't have an exact recipe, although I did write this one down just for you guys. So we're going to be using Vallejo paints. They're easy to obtain. Most of you have got a selection of them. Any paints that I call out here, just look at the colours roughly if you haven't got them, and either send off for them or just get something that vaguely matches. It's your figure, you do what you want to do with it. Other things you need, sharp paintbrush, sharp pointed paintbrush. I'm not going into sizes. Palette, obviously, whatever palette you use. I've just taken delivery of another figure, this guy here, which I'll be doing an unboxing, and I thought we'd do a video tutorial on this guy from start to finish, talking about the prep work on it. I won't do the prep work because it's resin and I need my mask on and all that stuff, but for now just doing the flesh on this guy. It's to what I would say is a basic level, no washes involved, no strong tones, mid tones, soft tones, blue tones and all the other tones you can think of. Just basic painting. It's not going to look like a toffee apple when it's finished, hopefully. And I think that's just about everything. When we're at the bench, we'll obviously go through the paints I'm using and get a close-up of those. But yeah, pointy paintbrush. Look at roughly what I'll say of what mine is, or look at the diameter of mine and use something similar, larger, smaller, whatever you're comfortable with. Palette of your description. Vallejo paints, we're not using any mediums, no glazed mediums, no spiritualists and any other mediums out there, just plain tap water. So guys, join me at the bench and we'll get cracking on this figure. Right tubers, thanks for stopping at the bench with me, or stopping by at the bench with me. Quick talk on the brushes I'm using. There'll be 3, and these are they're the triangle handled army painter brushes, and this is well rubbed out now, but this is, I believe, the Insane Detail. This is the character, so that's roughly the size. That one looks like it needs a bit of a clean. And I'm using this tiny fella to do some of the eyes. You don't have to get one of these, and this is the Psycho brush, and it is that tiny. This one's getting well worn now, but I do have a replacement for it. I use this only for doing eyeballs and occasionally rank insignia and things. What you don't want is these type. Now this is a Winsor & Newton Cotman. I've tried these when I couldn't get any of the army painter ones, and every single one's gone like that. You cannot paint properly with a hooked brush, and every one of those is hooked from the very literally the first time. Really haven't worked for me at all. And yes, I can straighten it out in some hot water and it'll go straight the same again. So that's what I'm saying. One thing to take away from this, you need your paintbrushes with a nice point on them. You also need your paints nicely thin, which we'll go on to on a different video, but I just want to get that over to you. Now the colours we'll be using, base colour is cork brown. See if we can go a bit farther back with that. Cork brown, 2 coats to 3 coats depending on what you're covering. I've already primed the figures in, or I do my priming mostly in grey primer. You guys use rattle cans if you wish to. I've done it plenty of times in the past. I now use an airbrush, but grey primer is what I put through. I've not done any zenithal highlighting on my figures, or not for these ones anyway. Base coat of dark, highlight of dark flesh from Vallejo again. All Vallejo's model colours, Panzer Aces as well. This is going to be what we mix our paint with. Pale sand to get a lighter colour rather than pure white. It's a nice colour to use. We're going to put some shadow areas in with Hull Brown from Panzer Aces series. Now you can use, they do their own obviously shadow flesh, you can use that as well. It's more or less the same colour as that. And then the only other colours we're going to use apart from on the eyes is this scarlet, which will try and put a bit of a, a reddish hue to some parts of the face. We can go a lot more in depth with different glazes and glazing other colours in, but this is really just to get you to a standard where you might be happy with and you can build on at a later date. The white German tank crew uniform I use for the eyeballs. Now just use any off-white that you don't use bright white because it tends to make it too stark, but any type of silver grey, off-white, grey white, whatever you want to call it. And then we've got for the eyeballs some black grey. Again, you can use tyre rubber grey, anything like that. Any colour that you've seen here, you just need to get yourself a equivalent. Don't be, it's your figure, just experiment with it. Now this is the one that I'm sending off to my mate Greg Riley. This is from a Russian company called Evolution Miniatures. I believe they're Russian. Again, this is the same basic, nothing else has been done to it. You could go to more detail, and we're just talking the face here. I'd already done this a while ago, the rest of the uniform. But that's all we're going to be doing to a standard of. The eyeballs I'd left in, I'd done before. But the face, get a bit closer, is what we're hoping to achieve. And I think that's good enough for a basic face to put on a diorama or a vignette in 1:35 scale. So, but you could obviously use that. It's not as easy to replicate in say a 28mm War Games figure, but you could use that on a 54mm figure, not a problem. And I'm using a wet palette. I'm not going to bother showing that. I won't show the paint in the palette. Let's just keep this flowing as quick as we can. Here's our guy. It still needs another highlight or two on the helmet and the jacket, but I just wanted to use that as a frame to frame the face for us to do the painting. He's had one coat of the cork brown. I'm going to give him another one on camera now. Also, a hairdryer is quite preferable. It'll just speed you up through the process. You can get a quick channel. You can get a holiday hairdryer, one of them little ones, which is what I've got, and it's just great, and it'll see you through. So let's get some cork brown on the palette. Now I'll put some on my grubby nail. I do apologise about the nails. The only problem is I've got my I'm trying to use this large tripod, so I do apologise if the video's not up to much scratch. I won't apologise for the waffling. I always seem to apologise for that, and waffling is what you get, unfortunately, on Gav's channel. It's just what I do. Right. I'll give you a look of what this base coat's going to be on the nail. And that's about the thickness that we're going for, so you can't see through the nail there. What I prefer to do as well is a bit of kitchen towel, just slightly dab your brush off. You can do it on your fingers as well. So we can get a bit closer. If you just put your paintbrush into the paint, you will end up with like a teardrop on most occasions, and you'll end up with the most paints in that area, and that's usually not what you want. So it's always advisable just to wipe that bit of paint off either onto your fingernail or onto a towel. I used to do my fingernails or my fingers, but you end up getting plastered in it, and there's always the chance that you will end up at some stage putting that paint onto the figure. As I say, I've chose Vallejo just because they're a brand that most of us have. See a tiny bit of primer showing through. I think I did said that on the last when I showed it before. Apologise if you hear any ambient noise in the background. It's obviously we're going to come up for a heat wave in the UK, and I'll have half shut the windows, but you need them a bit open. Right, I think that is going to do us for our base coat. Alright guys, we're onto our next, or our first highlight, which is going to be some dark flesh. Let's just show it on the grubby fingernail again. Can't really tell, especially with my lights, but it's starting to get a bit more translucent. You want your paint fairly well thinned down. Now I've mixed this with the cork brown base coat, half and half. Now this is slightly more watered down, this paint, so we don't want to make too much of a hash of it by having paint running everywhere. It's just easier using thinner paint, I believe. It'll stop you having that too much of a crusty look. This one's not holding its point properly now. Now we're not doing, sometimes I will do what they call sketching. If you hear people talking about sketching, it's where you put your highlights and your low or your shadow areas. And then you more or less join up the dots in between by using your mid-tones and that. But I thought let's not overly complicate things. Everyone's used to the layering method. It's alright, this guy's not playing ball at the moment. The blooming one of the hairs is sticking out. When I do the next highlight, I'm going to try and move the lights around a bit because it's a bit hard to see what I'm doing. But to be honest with you, it's the colours you want more than anything. I mean, once you've got somebody's basic colour recipe, you can play around with it yourself and decide what's going to work for you. And also, you know, you might say, well, I want to do sketching, or, you know, I think, Gav, I'm going to put brighter highlights here, there, or wherever. I'll put the hairdryer on that guy and see what he looks like. Right, we're now using the dark flesh on its own. I'm a bit reticent to say, you know, highlight number 1, highlight number 2. Let's get it in shot, it might help. Because I really just keep going until I'm happy with the figure. But what we will be doing is putting some shadow areas in, so I'm actually missing the shadows at the moment, or the deep shadows. That's where we will be doing a tiny bit of glazing. Well, I say glazing, it'll be a chunky glaze. This figure, by the way, was part of a kit that was sent to me. You'll see a thank you to Victor of Vic's Miniatures. He sent me a Sherman tank, and this is one of the crewmen in it. I just thought, for a basic flesh tutorial, I mean, I'll say tutorials and I'll put it on the title, but I'm a bit loath to actually really use that as a title, only because it's just how I paint. You know, I'm just painting along, and hopefully you guys can, as I say, take the colours from it and, you know, work it yourself. But I'm just trying to, you know, blow away the mystique, really, that figure painting's really hard, because you hear it a lot with guys when they're doing their model kits, and yeah, don't get me wrong, you know, a not great figure can detract from a brilliant diorama, you know, whatever it is, but there's no, it's a fairly straightforward, yes, practice, just like, I mean, look at me at the moment. As we all know, I'm having troubles making model kits. I'm persevering because I really want to do it and I enjoy doing it, but it's not easy, and probably my model kits detract from my figures. Now, I'm no box art painter, as we can all see, but it really isn't beyond anybody to get a decent figure painted, especially the face, the face, the hands, any flesh areas, but particularly the face. They really help sell a figure. When I say sell, I didn't mean that commercially. Just, you're trying to tell a story with a figure, with a kit. You know, that's the story you're trying to tell. Whether it's a single figure, you know, a little vignette. It could be, you know, like a German soldier with his bicycle. It could be some tank crew standing or sitting next to the tank. You're just trying to tell that bit of a story. Why are they here? What are they doing? And it just takes that bit of practice, and you can follow people's ideas all the live long day, but you just need to pick that brush up and have a go. And just like model making, you're going to have a load of disasters, but you'll steadily improve with them. I mean, my model making's coming on now. Not no way is it near some of these guys have been doing it for ages, but it's starting to see improvements. My airbrushing's slowly getting better, and it's the same with figures. It just takes that application of sitting down, checking a few videos out, getting some basic recipes for paint, what you're going to apply, or just doing your own, just building them up. But just getting going. Right, now we've done all that, we can have a go on the eyes. Right guys, this is going to be fun, trying to get this this done on camera. I'll say this tiny little Psycho brush has seen better days, but we'll see if we can persevere with it. These tiny brushes really are one-shot brushes, and we still need to wipe a bit of paint off. They will dry extremely quickly. So don't try and do 2 eyeballs with one brush. Wash it off. Get another one on there. And that's the first mistake, is I've daubed white paint into the bridge of the nose. Sometimes, not always, you can save it. It's quite warm today, so get a wet brush and try and wick away any spilled paint. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, and that one hasn't particularly, but we can save that. We're just putting a bit more dark fleshing or whatever into the areas, but we'll do the eyeball next. These are tiny little eyes, and I might well have to off camera, because I have to get the camera out of the way to clean them up properly, but that'll be realistically the only cheating I intend to do, hopefully. Now that the off-white, or the tank uniform white that I've used, I didn't actually thin that down at all. I tend to like it is, because that way it won't run everywhere. It doesn't help if you strike the nose with a paintbrush like I've just done, and it doesn't help trying to do it around a camera either. They always look alright until you actually take a photograph of them, and they look all over the place, and I can't really see anything at the moment. Let's get a bit of that dark flesh. As I say, I've got a tiny bit of overspill, and I might have to put some white in the very corners of that eye. Sometimes it can take 3 or 4 attempts to get a single eyeball done. I mean, you're not going for award-winning things here. I mean, this really is just enough. We've gone too far on that one as well. Again, we're using our paintbrush to wick away some of the paint. Might save that one. We'll see how that looks when we start putting some shadow areas and that in. I might have to go back to those. I can't even see through the I can't even see through the lens of the camera. Right, join me in a minute and we'll get some shadows in and let's see what she's looking like, or he's looking like even. Right guys, that's our shadow. It's what I'd call probably a chunky glaze or very, very thin down paint. Obviously glazes can be right the way down to tinted water. Now this is where it can go wrong, but if it does, just don't panic. You can always, you know, repaint areas. Sometimes it'll need more, sometimes less. So let's see what we're going at. Put our shadow areas around the actual helmet cheek pieces with the microphones in, and under the chin. All these areas will need you know, several applications. We're not going to do any stubble on this guy. We're just trying to force the. I've got to be careful because I'm useless at remembering all the fancy terminology. I've been doing this how many years, but I don't often use all the high contrast, low contrast, and all the rest of it. I just tend to pick the paintbrush up and have a go. But obviously, a lot of you guys look at a lot of videos, and you know all the right terminologies. I just go with, although I look at the same videos myself or the same articles, I tend to go with picking the paintbrush up and having a go. So you're putting, at the moment, well, it's not a craze, but one of the trends is for very dark shadows and very bright highlights. Again, how far you want to go into that is entirely up to you. It's an old, sorry for not talking, it's an old habit of mine to, you suddenly hold your breath. It's as if that's going to help you, you know, get almost like zen thinking your paintbrush onto the right part. As I say, what we're fighting with this guy's face a bit is, obviously it's a Tamiya. It's a Tamiya plastic figure, so the detail, although decent enough, might not be up to the standard of, say, that resin figure I showed. But saying that though, I mean, the evolution figure that I show tends to have a lot of facial expression and that. The one I've showed, the box, this Panzer art I'm looking at, when I pull that out, that's got a very smooth face, quite small one. So sometimes you have to draw your own creases, you know, folds of skin in and things like that. going to paint the lips, only paint the bottom lip. Don't try and paint the top. You can make them fairly bright if you want to, but obviously that's more of a war games type of thing. I tend to put the whole brown or whole red on the top lip. You can go when you're getting into depth with these guys, you can then highlight the bottom lip if you can get in there. I'll say this guy, you could easily put some of that some French uniform or some very, very diluted this black grey into a bit of flesh and put some stubble on. At the moment I just really wanted to show getting some highlights in there and some shadows, really, just to show that it's fairly basic, you know. It's not, it really isn't as hard as people would I wouldn't say have you believe, but just in your own confidence in picking a paintbrush up and having a go. That's what I say. We'll leave going into all the extra, you know, the extra bits of glazes and making the face. We'll do that on a different figure sometime. This is really just me getting to show there's no mysticism in figure painting. Right, I think we'll put some highlight in places where we put our shadows. If only just to pick up some more detail in the face. Gav's got right old shaky hands today. We don't want it all completely shadow areas, or sometimes if the figure's turning in a different direction, obviously where you think the shadow is going to be, you can put more shadow into the face one area than another. And the same with the eyes, you know, you can have the eyes looking to cheat a bit. What you don't want is those fried egg eyes. So, you know, you can cheat a bit and have him looking to the left or to the right if the head warrants it, you know. Right, I'm just going to put a hairdryer over this guy. We'll put some scarlets on, I think, and then see. I'll probably have to take a photograph with my mobile and just have a look. That's one of the best ways, take a photograph of it and you can see it up close. See what other people are seeing. Right, let's see if we can put a bit of scarlet in. Again, well watered down. My paintbrush, this one's also just lost its tip for a second. Right, I like to put them somewhere around the cheek area. Usually put it where the warmer vessels, you know, where the blood vessels are. Some people like to put it on the nose. You won't get a lot. Well, this is. Oh, I should have showed the glaze, shouldn't I? Sorry, guys. Not that. Where are we? There you go. So it's even less. I know it's red, but it's even less than the last one. might have a bit too much there. It's not too bad. It just adds that bit of extra warmth or cold. You know, if you obviously can put blue in your paint and get a colder face. You know, whatever you, or very light blue, whatever you decide. Now, what I'm going to do off camera, because it is hard to work. I mean, I'm just learning this really. I'm going to take some photographs. I'm probably going to have to play around with the eyes a bit, just to make sure, because I think I might want to do something with the eyelids as well, and I really can't do that with the camera next to me. So next time you see this, it might well be the completed item, or it might need a bit of extra work, which I'll show on camera. I'll make that decision in a minute when I've had a mooch around with it, but I say there will be some slight cheating involved, because I will have to do a tiny bit off camera, but it's still using the same paints and whatever. So, and I'll obviously go through the process if I have done anything. So we'll see each other in a minute. Right, Tubesters, I've not done a huge amount to the figure off camera. It is what it is. I'm not 100% happy with it. I've tried to take a load of photographs, and each one, let's try and get this seat forward, and I can't. Each one is worse than the last. I will put a couple up at the end, but I think for a basic figure, it's fine. What we could do with doing is, if we get one of these to point with, is put maybe some. This is going well, isn't it? Hang on. If we put some stubble around the chin, and as I say, this is the basic, you know, like canvas for you to put more glazes on and make the face individual, and add different colours and hues and tones to it. As I say, it's a bit ad hoc, it's a bit basic, or a lot basic, but that's, you know, your canvas really to start working on top of. But I do think that it shows that, you know, it's not hard to get a basic figure started. Let me just reach for our German friend again. I'm only showing him more, although I've painted this one. I didn't obviously have a camera in front of me, but this one, because it's got more facial features, there's the same colours have gone into this one as this one. Again, they're never going to look exactly the same, just because obviously different facial features, and I never, although you know, you might have a set recipe, say it's never exactly the same, but they will start you off, I think, on the road to painting, you know, maybe a better figure. As I say, we've got this Panzer Art figure to do at some stage. Although the face is quite smooth with that one, it'll be interesting to see how it comes up. So guys, thank you very much. It's been a bit of a long-winded video, mine tend to be. I'm not going to edit this one down, it'll be as it'll be. And again, just take what you can from it. Even if it's, I'm never going to paint like that, you know, but you know, take the paints I've used as a basic paint recipe. You don't need a lot. Just keep adding that pale sand to your dark flesh until you're happy with, you know, you don't need set bottles of paint. You can use ivory instead of the pale sand. I just find it's just a step back from ivory, really. and I do prefer it in the flesh mixes. So guys, thank you very much for stopping by and taking a look. There will be more of these videos. They probably will be edited on the next ones. This is another one of Gav's Fire and Forget videos. But I just wanted to get, I'd been promising this for ages and ages, and I'd got a small slot of time to work on it, so I thought let's get it done for you guys. So you take care of yourselves. As I say, more figures are on the way. There'll be more modelling videos coming up as well. I'm just waiting for some tracks to come through to me. And we've got some Napoleonic showcase for the commission work on my Napoleonic War Games figures I paint for a living. There's a showcase of that coming up in the next day or two. So guys, take care of yourselves, you keep safe, and we'll catch each other very soon on another video.